Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Massive updates yesterday with ISO officially revealed and big drama going down between some of the players as a result of especially the ultimate ability. This 1 versus 1 arena that's been causing lots of controversy. Players were roasting FNS especially for not necessarily having the best aim. FNS responds in kind, roasting Zellsis big time, but lots of drama we're going to dive into. Very much intrigued to your thoughts on this in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. As you guys can see in the background already, well, this is what he looks like, and we'll see more details here in a second. Just quickly on Rostermania, this was said by James FF here on Twitter yesterday. You know, it's a great day when NRG starts moving. So this has been a big talking point of the last quite some time, really. What are NRG doing? What are they, what are they going to try and do? Can they even do anything? Do they have a good backup plan if there's no Ethan, there's no Demon 1? They can't get anyone from EG. 100T, Cloud9, G2, these teams, they either moved early or they had a backup plan. NRG kind of haven't, and yeah, troubling if you're an NRG fan what they're doing, but apparently they have started to make some moves. Whether that's good or bad moves, maybe we'll see over the coming days. And just as well, I know some screenshots were flying around as to this new 100 Thieves team. We can see that, of course, Zix, the coach here, right? But Bang, Nature, Asuna, just to confirm that, like, this is the team, and they were actually playing against MXS as well, so that's the Moist Shopify team. Nature, EU, Cryo, Bang, and of course Asuna would be rounding out that team on paper. So yeah, this is what they're doing. Nature is here as the IGL for now. Maybe they still want Boostio. I guess we'll see over time. Let's talk about ISO then. So Chinese agent actually arrives into the game, well, pretty much very soon indeed, and we get to see what he does. And what he does is kind of crazy, I'm not going to lie. When I first saw this ultimate, I was mind blown. But, definitely give your thoughts in the comments below. This is probably the best way just to share all his abilities, to be honest. So this is what you need to know here that Ethos put on the Twitter yesterday. So his first ability is Contingency, it's called, which puts up this absolutely indestructible wall. You can't stop this. You can't cheat through it. It's completely indestructible, blocks everything. And it moves at quite a slow pace in front of you. So you can use this to enter a site, stuff like that. Very valuable ability. There's no doubt, and you can't stop it like the harbor wall, so there is that, but still a pretty good ability, you've got to say, with because you can have whatever you want on Odin. You can't be shooting through this, no chance. So that's one ability. This is another one, Undercut it's called. This is actually probably, when you launch this, it's maybe a couple of meters, 2-3 meters wide, so it has a decent radius, but it's not guaranteed to hit anyone. If it does hit anyone, it gives them effectively makes them fragile, so they take double damage. So you throw this through a wall, kind of like you can with, let's say, a rain, a flash or something, chuck it through a wall, and if it catches anyone on its way through, then it will make them fragile. So that's pretty good. Now, double tap is maybe the most, well, the ultimate is probably the most interesting, but this is actually kind of a crazy idea. If you get a kill, you then get to see what is kind of looks like a Rainer orb or some sort of like AIM Labs challenge when you have to shoot it, and then it gives you a bit of extra health. Now, it doesn't give you 25 health or something like that. What it does is it simply blocks one piece of damage. So, but it doesn't matter whether that's one piece of damage from a classic to the toe or whatever, or whether that's an actual razor ult or something, right? It doesn't matter. Like, whatever you get hit by, you tank one bullet, which is pretty big because, you activate this ability, you tank one bullet from a fight, they might headshot you, but yeah, it doesn't do any damage. You then take them down, shoot the orb again, and then you get another bit of health to use for the next enemy. So that's pretty good. So I definitely see some potential here. And this is the mad one. This is complete madness, to be honest. Here we go into the 1v1 arena. You chuck out this ultimate orb, and then whoever you catch first in this ultimate situation, you teleport to another world. And this is similar to what they've got over in what's the guy's name in League of Legends, Mordekaiser, I think, or something like that. But it's basically a gulag, right? If you guys have played any Warzone in Call of Duty, you'll know what this is. So it takes you into this arena where you play a 1 versus 1. Now, you play a 1v1 with the weapons that you currently have. So if their weapon is not suited to this type of engagements, they're in for a tough time. Now, to be honest, he says no advantages, but there is a pretty big advantage in the fact that you have 2 of these shields and they only have 1. So he can't know, I'm pretty sure, if you spawn into this and move left or right, they won't know whether you've gone left or right here, and that means that when it fades, you kind of have the advantage. So I would say this is like a 60-65% edge maybe for the player that uses it, just because of the way that it's actually designed. So, and then on top of that, you've got to think, well, if you have a better weapon for the job, it's almost going to be a guaranteed kill, which is not necessarily. But yeah, very interesting ultimate, no doubt. This is, 7 ultimate points for that. Crazy ultimate though, right? You're teleporting to an alternate universe and then, domain expansion or whatever, then you're coming back into the game. It's kind of crazy. So it takes both of those players out of the game. Initially, I wondered whether those shield walls ever went down, because if they didn't, it would be very interesting. You could use it to, let's say you're in a 2 versus 3 retake or something. You could use that, and you would literally just take yourself and one of the other guys out of the game, and then your teammates had a 2v1 retake, which is, much more favorable. And then, maybe you kill the game, maybe you don't, but then by the time you come back, you've retaken the site and you've defused the spike. I don't know. I thought that'd be an interesting way to use it. But if nobody kills each other for 15 seconds, then both of the players die in that ultimate. So, there's plenty of time, of course, to get the job done. If you get actually shoot straight, both players get 150 health when they start that one off. So this is the situation. And yeah, just to clarify here, that if you put double tap on, so you get the kill, for example, here, you shoot the orb, you get the 1 extra point of health you can take, and it completely tanks the result. But it also just tanks 1 bullet from a classic. So that's the way that it works. And the funny thing about this was that Brencast, right, said, I think it was a couple of years ago now, he was talking about the possibility of a Mordekaiser Gulag-esque ultimate. And that's not what we now have in the game. So it's insane to look at, to be honest. But I don't know. I see how this could be viable for sure. And as Ye says, good luck judge players, right? Because if you get a judge player here, I'm pretty sure they will just spawn in with a judge. And good luck doing anything in that situation, right? It's just kind of over. So this would be very interesting to use strategically in that way. And I think there's a chance that this agent is viable competitively. I know that it will probably be dominant or used a lot in ranked. Whether the pros want to use it, because I think there's even a chance that in a pro play situation, Reyna might straight up be more viable, to be honest, and Reyna isn't even that viable as it stands. But I definitely see the potential advantage here. Now, this is where the roasts start to begin, because the theory was, all right, well, let's say you pop this 1v1 arena. If you get killed in your own ultimate 1v1, that's pretty embarrassing. So what you really want to do is get a 1v1 against a player that you can shoot better than. If you're in a 1v1 arena and you can hit crisp headshots and the other guy can't, that's going to be an advantage. Now, they're all pro players. They can all shoot straight. And let's be honest here, Boaster, who's considered to have, one of the weaker aiming abilities in the league, technically, he had the highest 1v1 win rate in the entire league because he's got the brain. And it doesn't mean that he can't shoot straight, but it's, one tap's a slightly different story than regular gunfights. Whatever you want to say, the theory was, as Infamous says, you're a VCT Americas player, you lose your 1v1 to FNS, straight to McDonald's, baby. This is where Asuna was saying the same thing. When I want to use this on FNS, but I get any of his teammates instead. So, yeah, people were clowning at FNS here, right? Because FNS considered to be one of the weaker raw aimers. So, ideally, you pop this ultimate, you get FNS in there, you take him out of the 1v1. That is something, I guess, that you could definitely try, but actually getting, if you knew you were in a 1v1 against FNS, or FNS was still alive or whatever, then I guess, sure, you use the ultimate to try and get him, and then you could 1v1 him and try and win, and you might think yourself pretty favorable in that situation. Now, Zellsis also went in on him here and says, good thing you retired before they can abuse you even more at FNS. So FNS is not maybe technically retired, although he might not be too far away. He has decided not to come back and compete yet, although, it still might be possible. We know the fact that him and Som want to duo up somewhere, but it doesn't really seem like any team, at least in the Pro League, is going to give them the chance to do that with a team they can build. But I think that FNS will probably return at some point, or maybe he just won't ever return, and this is pretty much it for his professional career, which would be definitely a big surprise. But anyway, Zellsis roast him for his aiming, and then FNS says, you probably just forget to ult and cost your team a year's worth of lands in the process, so I ain't worried, which is just fantastic response from FNS here, really, because obviously he's roasting him for not even using this ultimate, because he doesn't use ultimate in key scenarios. And the reference here, if you guys aren't familiar with it, is the final round that was played between NRG and Cloud9. This was at the VCT Americas playoffs this year, when Cloud9, despite looking really good all year and potentially were in a position to get through the playoffs and qualify even further on for, Masters and then Champions, they squandered this chance to NRG. This went to Haven, 14-12 it was to NRG, but this was Zellsis. In a 1 versus 2, he's got plenty of health on board, pretty much 100 health on board, and he just got 2 kills, so he was putting it down from a 1v4 to a 1 versus 2. Victor and Finesse last last alive. Zellsis plants the spike, and in planting the spike, he gets his ultimate, right? He gets his breach ult. And as you guys can see here, so he gets the breach ult. He could use it right where they are, stun them, and potentially get the kill, clutch it up 13-13, take it even further. He doesn't do that though. He peeks out, he swings, like inexplicably, just doesn't use his ultimate that he's just got. I guess he didn't realize that he was going to have it, but he swung out, died, NRG get the defuse, and that's GG. They advance on. Cloud9's season is effectively over at that point. And even Tenz apparently was roasting him for this, it seems, because he tagged Tenz, who apparently sent him this same screenshot that I just shared for you guys. So yeah, Zellsis is getting cloud pretty hard here for this mistake, because pretty funny really from FNS, because manages to roast him in a pretty impressive way that says, okay, yeah, sure, you might be worried about me if I get into this 1v1 situation in his ultimate, but, you won't even use your ult when it matters, so it doesn't even make any difference. So Son was coming through here to kind of defend his duo, right? Why is everyone flaying my guy FNS? I won't take the sider anymore. You want a 1v1 him, you got to get past me first. But do you guys think this agent is going to be viable? Lots of questions on how to actually use this. Now, Chet does come up with an interesting idea, because I was thinking earlier, right, let's say it's a 3 versus 2 retake. You're coming in, you maybe use the 1v1 thing to get it down. That could be fine, but then you're maybe restricting your chances to trade. So maybe Chet's idea is the best, where you simply use it early on. You give your star player the ISO, and you just send him in there to get an early 5-on-4, which is probably not a bad idea, really, right? You get close enough to the enemies, you chuck down the ISO ultimate, you give yourself a 1v1 with your star player. As I say, already, I think those double shields are an advantage in that 1v1 situation. Okay, sure, if your star player gets clowned on, then that's kind of unlucky, but it's definitely one way to look at it. But Kaplan, and I know that Mel talked about this, had a different idea that, as Kaplan says, the only viable single duelist in pro play have the ability to dive out of choke points, really. ISO doesn't. So there is a chance that you can use ISO with Jet, but I don't think that ISO is going to be like a sole duelist. That's probably not going to be how it works. Double duelist meta with ISO is probably going to be possible, but if you're doing that, maybe you think, well, maybe you just choose Reina instead, and I think there's some teams probably will. I think he's going to be good in ranked for sure. Whether he's super viable in competitive, we don't really know, but as Mel says, like, I'm not really sure where he fits into the meta right now, given the way that, the agents presently work, and there's a lot of agents that do pretty simple jobs pretty well, whereas ISO, it's not exactly clear what his job is. He's just kind of quirky. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.